Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. We'd like to thank you for coming today to learn more about social media and the effects, mental health effects, the legal ramifications, and then gain some tips and tricks that you could be doing with your children as well. I am Rita Laughlin, and I am the middle school and high school counselor.
I'm Amy Graber. I'm the school board president, and I did have 3 kids that went through school here, so I wish we would have had this when my kids were younger, but it's good to learn.
I'm Shelly Gutau with TS Bank and a parent. I have 2 kids right now in the school district.
I'm Stacy McKern. I'm with JTW, and I have 3 kids in the school district.
And I'm Carrie Curran. I'm the school counselor at the elementary building, and I have a daughter in 7th grade here who has a strong social media presence. So she's friends with all of Southwest Iowa, so I look forward to hearing more.
Hi, I'm Shelley Bailey. I'm the tech director at the school. I'm also a representative of the Keep Kids Alive Drive 25 campaign. I'm also just going to tell you the stuff that's on the table when you came in is from the Office of the Chief Information Officer, which is the state of Iowa. A lot of the stuff, there's enough for everybody, but there's calendars and then the little newsletter. There's, they didn't give us enough. So you just have to arm wrestle those on your table for them if you really want them. After today's event, I'm going to be tape recording, and everything that we're doing will be online later. So will be in the email that I sent you earlier, but just look on the website under parent and online safety, and so we'll have a lot of this information. So if you're not a paper person, then you can leave it for somebody else.
My name is Jenny Behrens, and I am the middle school principal. I as well had 2 children graduate from Treynor, and I am, as I've talked to people in these last few years, 2, 3, 4 years, I'm very passionate about the discussions, the presentations, honestly, the content that will be shared tonight. I think it's great to see. I'm thrilled that we have this many parents coming out to this, so thank you for taking time for being here. Just to kind of tell you a little bit about tonight, other than what you've already read, we will have 3 presenters tonight on different topic areas. As they present, if you'll see there's paper and pencils to take notes. But if you have questions, there's little slips there in the center of your table and a little glass star. Drop the questions in there. So we plan to, at the very end of all 3 presentations, we'll come around and collect those, and we'll read the questions, and depending on how many questions there are and how long we've been here, we may end up putting it all in a document, the questions and the answers, and then share that back out to you, because we don't want to keep you here till 10. But we'll see kind of how many questions there are, and we'll answer some of those tonight and then maybe go to that format. All right, so we're going to have Amber Kennedy come on up, and she's going to kind of tell a little bit about her job role, and we'll let her present.
Hi, I'm Detective Kennedy. I'm from the Council Bluffs Police Department. I see there's 2 of my fellow guys that I work with from the county that are here. So if you guys feel like chiming in, feel free to. I've been an officer with the city of Council Bluffs for 9.5 years. I've been a detective for about 4.5 years now. My assignment with the city, or with the Detective Bureau is crimes, any crimes against children. So it'll be sex abuse, child abuse, the fun stuff of my work. I also do a lot of missing persons too. Part of my job as well is I had signed on with the Iowa Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. And basically what that entails up is I do a lot of investigations involving child pornography. It is a pretty big battle that we're dealing with here in the country. Child pornography is legal in some countries. And it's horrific things that these children have to go through. And it's unfortunate that these pictures and videos of these children are being shared in our country. So we are fighting to get that out of here and to bring people to justice that are sharing these photos and videos in our country. At the same time, we're also battling with our teens and children that are openly sharing their photos to other people. whenever somebody in the state of Iowa, anybody under the age of 18 is considered a child. So 17 and younger is considered a child. If they're taking pictures or videos of themselves and sharing it, it is considered child pornography and it's illegal. So we're fighting this and trying to stop it and trying to educate children and parents on why it's so important that we end this. I do a lot of presentations at the schools in Council Bluffs. I've done a few in the county as well to help educate parents and children on why, besides the given that it's dangerous and your photos end up out there for life, why it's illegal, what could happen by doing it, and the severe side of sending your photos out and what happens. So our presentations usually last about an hour. I don't have that, so I'll try to wrap it up as quickly as I can.
Can you all, sorry, Amber, can you all hear well enough? I don't know, can you hold it a little bit closer?
Sorry.
I don't know.
Is that better?
Is that better? Or not?
Okay.
Okay.
I did have handouts. I didn't know how many people were going to be here. I kind of figured there would be 10. So I did leave a bunch of cards. I did bring a bunch of those. So if any of you have questions later that you end up remembering later on and didn't write it down, you feel free to call me, email me, whatever you want. If you want a copy of the little handout that I have, just email me and I'll email it to you as well. The handout that I brought, this actually came from the attorney that was supposed to present, but she's currently overseas right now, so she got me to do it. She had sent me these. Basically, this kind of gives you tips on how to handle and how to talk to your kids about sexting and the dangers of sexting. Leaving it as an open door to your kids and let them know that they can come to you and talk to you about it. That, in a way to approach it without getting so angry and then have them scared to say anything to you. Because, unfortunately, there are master manipulators out there, and not just adults. Kids are really good at master manipulation of other kids. So they're very good at getting photos and conning other kids to send pictures of themselves. I had a pretty big case in Council Bluffs where a teen boy was really good at manipulating other girls to send him pictures of themselves naked. And these girls were A students, they were athletes, they were choir and band, and they were very good students, very good girls. But they got sucked into this, you're so pretty, you would never date me, you don't like me, I'm so ugly, nobody likes me. The real pitiful stuff that this little boy was saying. He was able to get pictures from these girls. He took these pictures and was sharing them like trading cards through Facebook Messenger. So, unfortunately for him, I'm assuming your guys' school is the same way where you get Chromebooks. Does the kids get Chromebooks or whatever? The school hands them out? Well, he used his Chromebook to do that. And sad thing for him is I can get into it without a search warrant, so that's how he got caught. But so this pamphlet kind of tells you a little bit about how to talk to your kids and explain to them why it's so important. And I know some other presenters are going to talk about apps and stuff like that kids are using. There's vault apps where kids can hide pictures. They can hide other apps on these vaults that you won't be able to see unless you're actually digging through it, and they have passwords that are set up on them. So be very vigilant what's on your kids' cell phones and tablets. Ask them, sit down with them, ask them, show me what this is, show me what that is, go through it, be snoopy. You're gonna have to do it to make sure that this isn't going on. One of the biggest things that I really want you all to take from this is whenever on cell phones there's called a geotag, or whenever you take a photo or a video of geotag. Does everybody heard of this? Anybody not hear of this besides the two back there that do this all the time? Has everybody heard about geotag? So when you take a photo or a video on your cell phone, like I'll dummy it down a little bit, when you take a photo or video with a cell phone or a tablet or some sort of electronic device, if there's a navigation tool on your phone or whatever, it'll geotag where the photo or the video is taken. So basically, you have your XY coordinates on the back side of the photo or video where this was taken at. And a lot of times these kids are taking photos and videos of themselves in the comfort of their own home. So when they share this photo or video, it's out there for life. Anybody can get in the back side of that photo or video, find that XY coordinate, put it into Google, and it brings it right to where this photo or video was taken. I've had 2 cases within a week from people in Canada that were calling my police department to say, hey, we're on Live Me right now, and we're seeing these girls doing inappropriate things. We found their geotag, here's their address. And officers went to the house and had to pull the kids out of the house because they were doing inappropriate things, and then I got called. People in Canada are able to do this, anybody can do this. So it's probably no offense, but seriously, yeah. So that is one thing to be mindful, to tell your kids that be mindful of what you're sharing, because people can find out where you're at. And once those pictures are out there, they're out there for life. And a lot of times kids are sharing their photos and videos, either they get suckered into it, like I was talking about the boy at the school that I had. They're sharing it with their girlfriend or boyfriend, or they're sharing it with their crush because they want them to like them. It's hard telling what's always going through kids' minds, especially when they're going through puberty. Well, the thing that they need to understand is that photo doesn't always stay with that person. The same case that I had, one photo of the girl, I called her and said, hey, this boy says it's you. She's like, there's no way. I only shared this photo with my boyfriend. He would never share it with anybody. Well, you still got to come in and take a look at it, because he says it's you. She comes in, starts bawling. She's like, that's the picture I sent my boyfriend. He promised he would never send it to anybody else. Her picture made it around to 3 other people as trading cards. It's gonna happen. I know young love, they don't think it'll ever happen. It does. So educate, educate, educate. Sit down and talk to your kids and let them know that they can always come to you. If somebody's pressuring them for pictures, if somebody's sending them pictures, they need to sit down and be able to talk to you or a trusted adult. In the event something does happen, they do mess up because kids make mistakes. If they do end up sending a picture, they need to know that they can come talk to you about it so we can handle it, so the schools can handle it, so they're not being bullied at school, so the kids aren't harassing them at school, so it's not making sure it's not an adult asking them for pictures, that this picture isn't getting spread around, and that we as law enforcement can get it taken care of before it gets blown away out of proportion. With that, there is always the chance that the child or whoever's asking for pictures can be criminally prosecuted. Asking a child, whether you're an adult or a child yourself, asking for pictures is illegal. Receiving pictures is illegal. Having pictures is illegal. A lot of them are felonies. And we have the boy that was taking pictures and sharing them, and he was catfishing these kids. He was prosecuted. He was only 16 years old. He can be put on the sex offender registry for 10 years to life. So these are things that the kids don't understand, really. But when you sit down, the kids that I've explained to, that you understand sex offender registry means you can't go to school anymore. You won't graduate with your class anymore. You can't go to basketball games, football games, dances. That's when it really sinks in, like, oh shit, yeah, that's not good. I don't want that. So explain to them about that not only is it dangerous if people find the geotag, it's dangerous set for kids, but it's also very much illegal. And sometimes it's rare cases, but it does happen. If there's a certain amount of photos or images that awesome Mr. Kava takes off of computers, it can turn federal. So it goes from the state level where you can get a court-appointed attorney to federal level where it's pretty expensive and it doesn't look good. It's something that we want to prevent, and we always want to educate the children on that. Like I said, I know you got some presenters that are coming in and talking about other things and other apps and whatever else, so I don't want to step over them and make it a repeat. But I can certainly hand out this. I have an extra one if nobody has one. I can give it to you. But definitely take my card. Certainly call me or email me, and I can send you more. I can answer any questions or questions a little bit later on too. You know, and one of the things in our presentation, one of our presentations that we do, Shelley, the attorney, had talked about, you know, when we're all younger, when we take pictures, it used to be with like Polaroids, or you would take a picture and have to go take the film in to get developed, in an hour maybe, or 24 hours later you get the picture back. You have all that time to make a decision on what you're going to do with that photo. You take that picture and you think you're going to send it, well then an hour to a day later you're like, I'm not going to share this with anybody. We had that much longer to think about what we're going to do with that picture. Kids don't. On cell phones, you take a picture, there's a little thing at the bottom that says share. You hit share, you can do a text message, Facebook Messenger, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. You can share the pictures and it takes just that quickly to do it. And it's that quickly to ruin a life. We had kids in Council Bluffs, there's a school where a kid was sharing pictures of them smoking pot and drinking beer, lost a scholarship based on that, because all it took was a kid in another school, in a rival school, to see this picture, got a hold of the college and said, hey, here's your star athlete, guess what he's doing? Lost his scholarship. So there's so many consequences they need to think about. And another thing you can tell them too is, hey, this picture that you take, think about if grandma saw it, or grandpa saw it, or your coach saw it. Or think of a family member or a loved one or a friend that they really admire. What would they think if they saw this picture? Helps them kind of realize a little bit of, oh yeah, this is the consequences, or this is what could happen. Schools is a huge thing. Jobs is a huge thing. Part of one of my awesome duties that I also do is backgrounds in my police department. And what we do is we ask the people, do you have social media? Yeah, I do. Facebook, Instagram? Cool. What's your password? Let's go log in. I'll take them to my office, sit them down. They log in, okay, move. And I go through it. I go through their messages. I go through their Facebook posts. I go through their Instagram posts, because I want to see what they're doing. Because I don't want somebody that's posting horrible things working on my department. You're going to represent us. I want us to look good. And we can look up all the way back to day one of a post, and that could be 10 years ago. We can look all that up. It's that easy. And if we see something that we deem as inappropriate, you won't get hired. A lot of jobs are doing that. So you can post something, or they can post something when they're 14 years old, 10 years later, and it comes back to haunt them. Whether it's dealing with sexting, drugs, alcohol, something completely stupid, something completely racist that didn't mean to be racist, and somebody takes it that way, your career is over. So that's another thing too, is to really sit down and talk to them like, this is what could happen to you in the long run. And not to mention sharing photos of them nude will follow them down the road. We've had cases where if I have a child that shares a picture of herself, I get all of her information and we send it off to a national database that holds all these pictures, because the picture's out there for life. So whenever that picture shows up again, it could be 2 years, 10 years, 15 years later, we get notified. I get called and say, hey, Susie Q that you had, we have her photo down here in Georgia. We need you to come testify. And they'll get a hold of that victim too and say, hey, we got your photo. We're going to need you to come testify that it was your photo. And she could be married, have kids, and a career, and she's going to have to stop what she's doing and go down there to testify that she was 14 years old and sent a stupid picture one time. These things could come back and haunt them. That's something that they need to understand. So, I don't know. Is the other presenter here, or should I keep going? Okay.
While we set up with our next presenter, which is Tiffany from Heartland Family Services, and she's going to be presenting about the power of the screen. You can go ahead and get more drinks, cookies, if you need to use the restroom. It will be maybe 1 minute pause in here.
And the handout that Amber talked about, I will link it online too, so. She wants that. Tiffany, do you mind if I do? Stand over here first.
Keeping track of the time.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, I'm gonna set a timer, but I could. set a timer. I was chat testing Should we go ahead and get started? Okay. My name is Tiffany Pinkerton. I'm from Heartland Family Service. I have been doing this presentation for about 3 years now. I work through a grant with the Iowa Department of Public Health. They allow me to do this as they consider addiction and screen time as a public health issue. And also, I'm a parent. Here's my kids at the bottom. I have one kid who's extremely addicted to his device, which has kind of gotten me to do this presentation. As a full disclosure, I'm not a therapist, so I'm not really a licensed expert in this area. I wouldn't even consider myself an expert. I'm a mom who's done some research. 3 years ago when I started this, there wasn't a lot of information out there about what screens were doing to our young people. It's really exciting because more and more we're seeing studies, we're seeing results, and not all the results are good. Also, as a full disclosure, I think technology is amazing. There are phenomenal things happening in our schools because of technology, but that's not really what I'm going to be talking about today. So this is, I know this might be hard for everybody to see, but this is kind of what we're looking at. The yellow and the green bars are how frequently our youth are on their devices. So 12% is about once a day, 5% several times a week, 1% once a week. But the blue bars are the things that we should be concerned about because these are the kids that are starting to have the negative effects of the screen time. So 56% several times a day they're on their devices. 24% almost constantly. So when we take a look at that almost constantly number, just imagine in school, you're almost constantly checking your device, your phone. You're in math class. Math builds upon itself. You miss just a little bit of that instruction, you go home for your homework, and you're going to have a hard time knowing what to do. Because math is so compounding, you are going to be lost and falling behind. So this is, as parents, as a community, what we need to be looking at. I keep on going the wrong way, sorry. So kids are doing a lot of things on their devices. They're on social media, they're playing games, they're communicating with each other. YouTube videos. My daughter, who is 8, likes to watch YouTube videos of people playing with toys. Go play with the toy. No, she's going to watch a video of it. It's crazy. And they are learning. What I'm not going to talk about today is safety, bullying, and violent video games. That is a whole other conversation I don't feel like I'm at all prepared to talk about, and it's a big conversation. Oh, shoot. And I'm not always the best at technology. Thank you. Okay. So I did a search about 3 weeks ago about the most playable games. I see some people nodding their heads. These are the most popular games out there right now. I just did this presentation earlier today, and the teacher was like, well, these are kid games. I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I'm going to talk about these games really quickly. Candy Crush. I talk about Candy Crush because it seems to be one that a lot of people are familiar with. Games come and go really quickly, but this one's been around for a while, and I think it's going to be around for a while longer. This game is kind of unique. Never before have we had a game where grandparents and kids are playing the same game. That's pretty big. They've done a really good job of marketing. I always ask who this game is designed for. It should be designed for adults, but if you look at the graphics, they came out with a cereal, they came out with fruit snacks not that long ago. They're really marketing towards our kids as well. There are 93 million players a day. This is worldwide, so it's not just the United States, but 93 million people go onto Candy Crush a day. Right now they have over 2,000 levels. I think when they started it was under 200, and they keep on adding them. So you're never going to finish this game. It's just going to keep going on and on and on. Back when I was playing games, we were playing Mario, where you would make it all the way through the game and you won it, right? That's not how games are set up anymore. So they're giving you many rewards. They're rewarding you, wanting you to keep on playing. And one of the things that Candy Crush is really good at is timing people out. So you might think that they're doing that for our well-being because, well, you shouldn't be sitting on Candy Crush for 5 hours. But they're really doing it because it leaves individuals wanting to play more. When you get told you can't have something, you want to figure out how to do that. And there's a lot of workarounds on that. So games like Candy Crush are creating this concept called fun pain. And the makers of Candy Crush are actually the same makers that slot machines are made from. So they're doing the very same thing to our brains as if we were sitting in front of a slot machine. And it creates kind of that addiction. We joke about Candy Crush addiction, but there's some seriousness there. So fun pain is a concept of these games where they don't want the game to be too easy because you'll get bored and move on. And they don't want it too hard because you'll get frustrated and move on. So they want to find this middle ground where you're really intrigued, you want to keep going back, you want to try to level up, they're going to reward you when you do. And I think this is what fun pain might look like, this little boy. This is really hard to see, so I'll read it to you. This is a screenshot. I did just a Google search of the grossing, this is ISO, but the top grossing apps in ISO. So they do this every day and it changes. So the #1 game right now is Candy Crush Saga, and they are actually earning $1.6 million a day. That's a day. That is worldwide, but that's a day. Clash Royale is right behind that at 1.2. Candy Crush Soda Saga at 663,000. Clash of Clans, 643,000, and it keeps on going down. How are they making this money? How are they getting $1.6 million a day? When you time out, you can click a button really quickly for 99 cents and keep on playing. So they've created this cycle, and again, that's where it looks like gambling a little bit. We're putting time and money into this activity. So Clash of Clans and those other types of games are a little bit differently. They don't time out how much you can put on there. But you're building like this village. And you want to have a strong village because other people can come in and raid your village and take your stuff. You can play this game for free. You don't have to put any money into it. But if you put money into it, you build your village faster, and then you can go and raid other people and get their stuff. So I had, when I was speaking to somebody, a mom come up to me and she said that her son got a hold of her credit card and put $400 on her credit card playing one of these games. So it's happening. Kids are doing it. Adults are also doing it because I have a coworker whose dad got notification from Apple. Apple said, hey, do you realize how much you're spending on this game? I'm not sure what that amount was, but if Apple notified you, it had to be quite a bit. So I think we need to know about this. We need to have these conversations with our kids, and we need to be aware of how some of these games are working. So now that we've talked about that, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening inside of young people's brains. So when we have adults who are playing these games, it's not quite as much of an issue because our brains are developed. When we talk about young people whose brains aren't developed until they're close to 25, it's a different issue because it is changing their brains. So the American Academy of Pediatrics used to have a recommendation of 2 hours of screen time a day. Do we remember this? 2 hours was kind of the guideline. 2 years ago, they changed that because 2 hours a day is not really realistic in our society. We are so full of technology. Technology is everywhere. So they made some changes. And they don't have a real firm hour limit anymore. The one thing that they do have a limit on, and they're pretty clear about is under the age of 2, they're still saying absolutely no screen time. Their young brains are so undeveloped that the screens are really doing damage to them. So they are saying that parents should monitor. We should pay attention to what they're playing, ask them questions. I think I have 3 kids, they all play different things. I sit down next to them and say, hey, how does this game work? Show me how you play this. And that's how I've learned quite a bit about the games. And they're also saying that quality makes a difference. So I use the comparison of SpongeBob and Caillou. Everyone familiar with Caillou? PBS, it's a PBS show. It's kind of a sweet show. The colors are all in primary colors. The voices are soft. And everything's kind of even like this. There's no commercials, really just short shows. So if I think your brain is watching Caillou, it might be going kind of even like this. And then we take a look at SpongeBob. Yes, this is the polar opposite. But SpongeBob is bright, the colors are loud, his voice is loud. He's got this laugh that's so annoying and loud. And there's commercials, and they're going from scene to scene and character to character. So if your brain is watching SpongeBob, I think it might be going something like this. So if you're a kid who watches a lot of SpongeBob, how do you think you can sit in the classroom and do work? Your brain's been trained to do this. So that's why we're starting to see some of the behavior problems. And that's what the American Academy of Pediatrics is saying. They're saying that excessive use of media can lead to school problems, sleep problems, eating disorders, and obesity. And devices can provide platforms for illicit and risky behaviors. So there are definitely kids out there who have medical reasons why they have a hard time sitting still. That's not changed. However, we do know that too much screen time is leading to other behaviors that mirrors that. And they're saying that if kids are exposed to too much screen time, they're more likely to try smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol. So they're more likely to participate in high-risk activities. So what they're saying is that parents should offer alternative activities to screen time. Go outside, take a walk, pull out the board games. When I did this, my kids were like so mad at me and rolled their eyes, like they almost fell over. But they liked it. They really had fun and they asked to do that again. So kind of going back to that, go to the library and pull out real hard books that you pick up and you hold in your hands, because that even makes a difference from reading them on the screens all the time. So what's too much? This is an old study. This Kaiser study is an old study. There hasn't been, I emailed this presentation 3 times today because I kept on looking for new information and it's not really out there. But right now, in 2010, they were saying the average daily use for a youth, so they're considering 8 to 18, is 7.5 hours a day. 21% are heavy users at 16 or more hours a day. This is 10 years ago, or not 10 years ago, this is 8 years ago. My guess is this might be a little bit higher. I don't know. And then they came up with this, they said 7.5 hours per day equals 114 days a year watching screens. That was kind of alarming for me. Common Sense census, so this is not as official of a study, it's kind of more informal, but they're saying teens are averaging 9 hours a day. And tweens, so right under 13, 8 to 13 are 6 hours a day. This is including TV, computers, phones, tablets, all of that. So we're seeing that it's also affecting our young people's sleep. A lot of kids are sleeping with their devices in their rooms. My son tried to pull this one on me by saying, well, it's my alarm clock. How am I going to wake up in the morning? I went to Walmart and bought him an alarm clock. He didn't know how to turn it on or work it, but we figured it out. Because as a safety feature for me in my house, I keep all the chargers in my bedroom so that they have to check them into me at night. And that's when I go through them, that I know that they're not in their rooms, because my older son was sneaking out at 4 o'clock in the morning and I would catch him on his device. So, he's my one who has a problem. So when I started putting the devices in my room, SpongeBob came back, they had a game on there, and there was a notification, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was SpongeBob laughing. I couldn't believe it. So that's kind of an extreme, but if there's notifications coming through, even though it may not be completely waking us or our kids up from sleep, it's disrupting that sleep pattern, and so that we're not fully rested the next day. This is also kind of alarming. Communication. So because kids are primarily communicating with each other via their devices, they're not having that face-to-face communication as much anymore, they're starting to lose the ability to recognize facial expressions. This should scare us a little bit. They can tell you what an emoji means, but they're having a hard time recognizing all these different facial expressions. And handwriting quality is going down. Handwriting quality is going down because we are spending so much time typing out our homework compared to writing it. And studies do show that the act of physically writing things down on paper connects in our brains differently than typing them out, or even my daughter likes to play these games to practice her spelling words. That's not doing the same thing as actually writing those words out. And there's a new term that's come out, it's called the learning paradox. And what they're showing and what they're seeing is that the more technology that a classroom has, which again, really good things are happening with that, we are not seeing an improvement in test scores. We're not seeing that our kids are smarter or performing better because of all that technology in the classroom. Behavior, this type of thing. Kids are having a hard time sitting still, they're being more impulsive. My son, when we started noticing that he had a problem, he was snippy at me, kind of back talking to me and picking fights with his brother and sister. So we were really noticing a lot of behavioral problems with him because of the amount of time he was on his device. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Where's my, I'm so sorry. I talk with my hands, so I've been messing this thing up. So how do we make this work? Now that we know all that, how do we as families find a balance? And that's really what it is. Technology is not going anywhere. We've got to figure out how to make it work so that it's not negatively impacting our kids. I have done it again. You want to just stand over there and click them over? Almost done. I'm almost done, I promise. So the first thing we need to remember as parents is that technology is a stimulant. My mother-in-law is terrible at this. I'll wake up in the morning and run through Facebook at 3 o'clock in the morning. She's posting, "I can't sleep." Right, you're on your device. Stop it. The blue light. So this is TV as well. So if our kids are going to sleep watching a movie, this is probably not really good for them. When you drive by somebody's house and you kind of see the blue glow from their TV, that's blue light. And blue light is known to depress melatonin. Melatonin is the natural chemical that makes us fall asleep. So when we're suppressing it, it's hard for us to fall asleep at night. So really stopping technology a couple hours before bedtime is probably the best. Garbage in, garbage out. Again, this is that concept of SpongeBob and Caillou. What the kids are doing on their devices is making a difference. I had a kid challenge me the other day, well, I shouldn't even be at school then because it's too much screen time. No, that's not what we're saying, because reading and processing and learning is different than sitting behind a video game all the time. And even the types of shows that our kids are watching. I kind of banned Disney Channel for a long time at our house because all of the kids on there were so mouthy to their parents, and the parents, if there were any parents on the show, they were spacey and silly. So my daughter's been into watching Full House. I'm kind of just going back to that old type of shows, and that again also makes a difference with what our kids are exposed to. Model desired behavior. We are the parents, we do set the rules. However, our kids learn a lot about what we're doing and how we interact with our devices. I got into a bad habit. Coming home from work, I would spend 5-10 minutes just going through my phone. I might be checking emails, I might have been on Facebook, I'm not sure. But that was also the time that my daughter wanted to tell me about her day. So I would be looking at my phone and she's telling me about her day, and I'm like, okay. She goes, Mom, I have a feeling you're really not paying attention to me. Ow, that hurt. And that was a big indicator to me that I need to change things as well. Set appropriate limits. So my son, my oldest son, who we've had problems with, we would try the 2 hours a day thing, give him warnings. It didn't work. He would throw a complete fit, a complete meltdown, and then every 5 minutes, when can I have my device? When can I have my device? When can I have my device? So we went to Monday through Friday is completely screen-free times in our house. With the exception of doing your schoolwork, you're not on it. So on the weekends, they have more ability to use them. We also have screen-free bedrooms. They can't have their devices in their rooms. And the table, the dining room table is also screen-free. So set up zones in your house that technology is not allowed, and that helps to set those limits up. And technology is a privilege. This isn't something that everybody gets. You can earn it and you can lose it. So that's very clear in our household. Also, it's very clear that because I'm the mom, I know the passwords. It's well known that I'm going to go through your phone when you have it charging at night. They know this, and I think that helps them to make the decisions that they're making throughout the day. Sometimes people are concerned that it's a privacy issue with your kids. I think it's a safety issue. So privacy is, your body's privacy is respected, but not your technology privacy. Oh gosh. You got it. I have one more slide, 2 slides. I'm doing what she told me to do, I think. Okay, change the environment. This is when we move the chargers into our bedroom. We change the environment. It's always in our bedroom. I had another mom who told me that she would take the keyboard with her to work. She's changing the environment. We do what we have to do. Losing access. So my boys now in middle school, because of a safety issue, we do want them to have the ability to call or text us. So we got them cell phones. Their grades, it's expected to have certain grades in order to keep the cell phones. My older son, because of his addiction-like behavior, we've locked it down so all he can do is text and call on it. And we can do that, really. Kids are going to test limits. They're going to push you, and one time you give in, it's going to take 3 months to get back on track. So keeping that in mind, that was a hard lesson that I learned. Try a week without screens. There is a National Screen-Free Week. There's some people shaking their heads. I don't know if I could do it either. But you can try it, right? And ultimately, we want to help our kids learn self-control. We really want them to be able to be productive adults, go on to college or find jobs and be able to balance this themselves. So we are just training them with this technology that they will forever have on how to handle that responsibly. Oh, look at that. Or did you do it? I thought I did it. I have a few resources. There are would you hold this? There are so many things that are out there for parents. These are just a tip of them. CyberWise is a really good website that kids can go to and kind of talk about being good digital citizens. This video, Being 13 Inside the Secret World of Teens, this is a Dateline video. It's a little bit old right now, but they took 100 kids over a year, and they tracked everything the kids did on their devices, everything, every text, everything that they did. And then they asked the parents, what do you think your kids are doing? And then they showed the parents what their kids were really doing, and it was kind of eye-opening. And it's all kids. It's not good kids, it's not bad kids, it is all kids. The American Academy of Pediatrics is also a good resource. Common Sense Media is a phenomenal resource. This website rates every movie, every book, every TV show that's out there. So you could look at this. We watched Wonder, and I wasn't quite sure if my daughter was old enough for it, so I went to this website. It talked about what the appropriate age is, and then there was some kind of warning things. There's a scene in there that it talks about you should just kill yourself. So I was glad that I knew about that before it was happening so that I could talk to my daughter. Parenting in a digital world. So I didn't even bring my copy. For me, who has a hard time knowing how to set the parental controls, this is a book that takes you step by step. the Xbox, your home computer, your iPad, it goes step by step, screen by screen. These are the things that you need to do to set up the parental controls. It has been very, very helpful. And screen time is the actual parental control that I use in our family. It's a free one, but you can pay like $40 to get the advanced version. So this is the one where it gives me a dashboard of everything that they're doing, everywhere that they're going. I get alerts, like my son called me the other night at midnight. I got an alert that he called me, which is kind of cool. It said, hey, your kid's up at late doing these things. And then this is the one that also, it turns it off. So if I can set like a 2-hour limit, it just automatically shuts off the data. And then they can text me and say, hey, I need 30 minutes more. There's a list of chores that they can do. If they complete a chore, they can earn more time. So this is not the only one. I'm not paid by them. This is just what we use for our family. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. I was over that way. Okay, you guys can come on up. I have something to interject before I introduce our next speaker. When I was kind of putting together all of the things that we were presenting, I thought, oh, I know what everybody's going to talk about, but hey, look, I'm doing it too, Tiffany. I know what happened. Okay. I just have a couple things I want to say. First of all, technology is a privilege, or it is. And the kids get mad at me that I shut off the Wi-Fi in the classroom because they're privileged. We are supposed to provide them Wi-Fi in the classroom. You think, right? No. So I shut off guest Wi-Fi in the classroom, and I have a feeling that maybe more learning is going on because Verizon service, it isn't very good out here. So their cell service probably doesn't work very well. So it's not, technology is a privilege, and I've, had nobody offer to pay me to bring it back. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to recommend is something I installed at my home is Google Wi-Fi. And I wish I would have had it when my kids were home. Because I can actually turn off Wi-Fi for a while at dinner time. I can block certain devices. I can shut it off on certain devices. So that's something you can install at home. I know there's a million things out there. I'll put this on the web. There's a parent control comparison guide. It talks about all the apps, that, probably the one that Tiffany mentioned too. There's two that I found that looked the most attractive in Bark. It will proactively monitor text, emails, and 24 different social networks for concerns. It's $9 a month for the whole family. They give you a 7-day trial. So the other one was, it's from Focus on the Family. This is all that Bark does. But the other one is called Force Field. It's a little more expensive, but there's a little bit more different features with it. I just feel like I want everybody to walk away with some tools that they might be able to use, because we know that we need to monitor. It's okay to monitor your kids. When I first installed Find Friends on my kids' phones, I remember parents going, "You track where they're going?" Well, yeah. What, isn't that an invasion of privacy? I'm like, no. They're my kids, and I'm paying for their phone. Now, they're both out of college, and I still have Find Friends. And for me, it's a peace of mind, but I'm still paying for their phones, so. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to turn it over to these guys, and they're going to talk about some of the things that they know that you don't know. I don't even know that there's an app to hide apps. So I'm the tech director at the school, and I feel like I am always one step behind. But when I find that step that they've taken, trust me, I'll block it. But then, I don't have paid spies in the school. I think I really need them, but maybe we can add that to the payroll, Lou? Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to these two. This is Alex Lowe and Tyler Pollock, and we serve on the Keep Kids Alive Drive 25 committee. They're also Junior Optimist International, the president and vice president. Secretary, whatever. They're officers on that committee. They're very busy, and so I'm so glad that they're here to share. I'm going to hook up their iPhone, so if you guys need to take a quick 2-minute break, I'm going to hook up their iPhone to the screen so that they can do some demonstrations.
Yeah, if you have any questions, make sure you're putting those in the
Testing? Okay. To reintroduce myself, I am Tyler Pollock. I am co-chairman of the Keep Kids Alive Committee and secretary of the Joy Club. I am a sophomore.
My name is Alex Lowe. I'm a junior, and I'm the president of the Joy Club at the high school, and I am co-chairman of the Keep Kids Alive Direct 25 we have in Treynor. Oh yeah, okay, so we're going to talk about like when you're driving, you can put on your phone a setting that shows do not disturb. So basically you won't be receiving any notifications whatsoever while you're driving, and it just, your phone recognizes if you're going a certain speed, and then it'll turn it off immediately. And then if you're in the car, it turns it off, but if you're not driving, you can just say I'm not driving. So do you want to, so you go into settings first?
Yeah, okay, so you're gonna, for iOS, for Android it's a little different and we don't have one to demonstrate. So I'm gonna do it for iOS. You're gonna go into your settings app, to general, and then to, actually this will be so much easier. If you go to the top and search do not disturb, the first one that comes up on the top is do not disturb while driving. You tap that and then go to the bottom, it's,
You just turn it on.
it's down.
You just turn it on at, up top.
It's activate.
Here, come here. So if someone texts you, instead of asking you to reply, you can just, if you look down on the auto reply to all contacts, and then you can type in whatever you want, or it has a preset thing, and it just says, I'm driving, I'll get back to you when I can. And then it shows you the notification once you're parked and you look at your phone later. And then just, if you go through activate, and then you can press automatic. And I do automatically just for when I'm speed, just so I don't get anything. So that way I don't hear anything and I'm not distracted. Okay, let's move on to the next app. Let's do the Find My Friends app. So Shelly mentioned this earlier. So that's me, Aslo. It's an app, you can download it, and most of your phones come with it. It's different on the Android, but you can just Google Find My Friends app for Android and it'll come up as well. Like Life 360. There's other apps like this as well. So basically, you just type in your contacts and search it. You can just press share on my Aslo. There, and then now he can see where I am, and then he can also share where he is, so we can both see where each other is, and that's just basically wherever your phone is, it shows where you are. And my parents have that on all of my siblings and myself, and then I have it on them as well, so we can know where everyone is, especially when I can't text my parents and they can't respond at a certain time. I just know where they are anyways. Same the other way around. And you can do this with whether you have an iCloud account or just with phone numbers. It's pretty easy to set up. You just go in, press if you just press add at the top corner, and then you can type in my name. There. And then you can press send. And if you share indefinitely, I like to share until end of day or 1 hour, especially if you're going on like school trips or anything like that, and you only need it temporarily for a school sponsor maybe, you can use that as well. And then share indefinitely is what I do with my family. So now Tyler and I can see where each other are. Yeah. Yeah, do you want to go to the iPhone?
Yeah, okay, so... Okay, so Find My iPhone is an app that comes with all iPhones when you purchase it, and I don't think you can delete it. So pretty much what you have to do is, what Alex is doing now is she's putting in her Apple ID, and then if you sign in, and then push sign in, if she gets it right, it will show you a map of where your phone is from when you last logged in, and it will do a GPS tracking, so if you lose your phone, or if like a family member needs to find you and you don't have Find My Friends set up, they can go through your Apple ID and find exactly where your last phone is, or any of your other like devices.
So you can also do play sound, and it's just like that, and it doesn't stop until you find the phone. And so my dad used to do that when I was like on trips. He would just put my Apple ID in there and then say, how is this city? Because he could see where I was, and then he would turn the alarm off and he wouldn't stop it going until like it got really annoying. So that's another app you can use for tracking your own phone. If you can even put your own Apple ID into someone else's phone, so you don't have to use your phone to find your lost phone, I guess.
It's really useful if you like lose your phone or anything like that. Like I've lost my phone a couple times, and then just grab like a parent's phone, and it's like, I'm gonna log into this because I need to find my phone. Yeah. Okay, and then the last app we have.
So basically, we're going to show you a few things that I would maybe want my parents to know, or things that your kids don't want you to know about your phones, just because we know about it because we live it every day. So we're going to start with Snapchat. So you can take screenshots anytime when you're on your phone by pressing the home button and the power button. And then also you can just save photos on Snapchat. He just took a screenshot.
That's what it looks like. And then you can choose to save that.
Yeah.
Send it.
He can save it, send it, do whatever he wants. So go to your saved photos, which is under the button you take photos with. And then, so what most people don't know, you can look at those photos and then you can look at your camera roll, but there's also an area that says My Eyes Only. And you can also do that for your story, where it's just like my story by yourself. And a lot of them have passwords on it, and that's like what's harder to access.
So pretty much for Snapchat, what people do is they save photos under My Eyes Only. So it's probably a good idea to talk to your kids, or when you're going through their phone, is to go in through like My Eyes Only and be like, what's this password? Like, what do you have saved under here? Stuff like that.
you just put a fake password for now, right?
How do you get to the My Eyes Only?
So if this is your home screen for Snapchat, you're gonna slide down to where your memories are. So this is all, and then it's the last tab on the right is My Eyes Only.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of tabs up top if you can't see that. And it's like all, and then like stories, camera roll, and then the last one's My Eyes Only.
And you have to set it up in your Snapchat settings, but then once it's set up, it can't be deleted.
Another thing on Snapchat that we want to show you is there's Snapchat Maps. And so basically it just came with a new update, and most people don't know that they have it on there, number one, and a lot of people don't know that you can also turn it off. So basically this is any one of your friends can track you, and if you don't have a private account, then that means anyone can track where you are. And Snapchat released it because they wanted you to be able to see where your friends were, and like maybe a bunch of them were at one place, then you could go to wherever they were. But it could also be a serious issue because people who don't have it on private, there's Snapchat users that can just be in your area and say, hey, do you want to talk? I live 4 miles away from you. And then they can also just look where you are at any time. So we're going to show you how to turn off the maps. And that's what that looks like. Like all of our friends must be in Treynor, I guess.
So people are probably here for track or whatever people do around Treynor. So in the center is, it'll show you, and then in the top right corner you have your settings. And if you enable ghost mode, that means no one can see who you are. And you can choose it for 3 hours, 24 hours, or until turned off. And then if you don't want ghost mode on, you can select either all of my friends or just a specific few. If you want people, like if you're like go missing or you don't tell anyone where you are and they want to be able to find you easily, you can choose a specific set. I have parents, close friends, and stuff like that set on there. So then that, or if I'm going to like pick them up or they're going to pick me up, I don't have to say where I am. And it can be a useful thing just when used well.
Yeah, I would also make sure on all apps that your kids have that everything is on private, any social media account, because I used to not have it on private, and I would have people message me all the time, and a lot of times it's adults and it's not appropriate stuff, or even the profile picture is inappropriate. So all of my accounts are now private. It's really easy to change also in your settings. If you just, do you want to show them maybe? Go to your settings. So this is just that, so the screen that you see is just what you see when you open Snapchat, and then you just go up to the top and you press your little emoji person, and then you'll be able to see your settings.
So you have your name, username, all that stuff. You can change your password. Down here, you can set who can contact you. So I have it set as just my friends, so you can set directly who can contact you, who can view your story, who can see your location, who can see you in your quick ads. So it's very easy to see, to show who can see what about you.
So another thing I want to talk about is on social media, just because you're friends with your kid and maybe you think that you can see everything they're posting, that's not true. A lot of stuff they can press, don't let this person see on their stories and stuff. And it looks like you guys are friends and it looks like you're seeing everything, but a lot of times you're not. And that's on almost every social media site, like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, things like that. They can just post anytime they want. Don't let mom or dad see this. And as well as on Instagram, I don't know, there's things called like Finstas and Sinstas, which is still on the Instagram app, but like a Finsta is your fake Instagram, and it's not your real one where you post your nice photos. It's like a spam almost, and you post like bad photos of yourself, whether it's just like because you look silly or something. Sinsta is a sex Insta, and a lot of people post nude photos of them, or almost nude photos of themselves, and it's just under a different username. And I know lots of people that have Finstas and they have tabs to where they can just switch over to it immediately, so it may look to you guys like they only have one account and they could have 3 or 4 accounts. So do you have Instagram? No, I don't have Instagram either. So if you go to their Instagram profile, And then you go to the top right corner, there should be different bubbles of different accounts. And it'll be able to just swipe right over. Same with Facebook. If you're on Facebook, you could go to your regular profile and you can just see like Alex Lowe or then like a fake name underneath it, and that's 2 different profiles. Oh yeah, and then the locked, I forgot your name. Amber was talking about the vault that you can do. There's lots of apps where you can put a lock on it, and you can put locks on your regular apps like your iMessage and your photos and things like that. But you can also get separate apps that are hidden maybe in your folders and stuff, and it looks like it's just a game or something. And you can download your bad photos maybe into that app and then lock it with a password and then delete them from your original Photos app, so it looks different and it's hidden. Do you know what
So yeah, just like very important to like go through and make sure you know what each individual app does or is. And I think that's all we got for it.
Yeah, I know my parents all go through my phone, even though like, I'll just be sitting on the couch not doing anything, and my mom will be like, "Give me your phone." And I'll be like, "Why?" And she's like, "Doesn't matter. Give it to me." I'm like, "Here you go." If she asks me for any of my passwords, then I just give them to her. That's kind of how it works in my house.
Yeah, my parents are the same way that Shelly is. They're like, we pay for your phone, we pay for your data, we're gonna go through your phone if we feel like it.
Exactly.
Thank you. That was enlightening. Again, I'm sure there's a lot more that you're not saying. So I'm going to put their email addresses on my page and say, hey, I want the secrets. You can just email them. I'm kidding. Do you already have questions? Okay, so we're going to probably call back up our presenters. So if any question is relevant, so you guys don't get to sit down. So Amber and Tiffany, if you could come up and ask.
Did you have other questions? Yes. Okay, this was specifically for Alex and Tyler. What are the apps you use the most, or what apps do teens use the most?
So I recently deleted all of my social media just because it was a distraction. But I use Snapchat, and I feel like that's the one that they use the most. And then besides that, lots and lots of games like. What's the new game that's out that I can't remember?
Fortnite?
Yeah, Fortnite Mobile. That's for maybe older kids. And I just play a lot of different weird games on my phone.
I know personally, like for social medias, I only really use Snapchat and Twitter, but I know Instagram is a big one. But I think those are the main 3.
Yeah. Most kids do not use Facebook though. But nope. They use Instagram and Snapchat all the time.
And this one I believe is for Amber. Can geotagging be blocked?
That geotagging can be essentially turned off. That's more for my computer guys that are really good at doing that. I do, with mine, I do the investigation. I sit down and question the bad guys while my partner does the computers, and he's actually learning more about that right now. But it can be, it's my understanding, you can shut off the navigation or shut off your navigation tools so it's not being, so the photos and videos aren't being tagged of where the location is.
Tucker Carlson did a show about a month ago, and they had 2 brand new Android phones. Didn't log on them or anything. They went all over town. It still tracked them, whether they had navigation off or not.
Okay, well this is for you again. Can the police clean up pictures on social media, or who can?
Like taking pictures off? Who asked that question? You did? So do you mean like taking pictures off social media, or what do you?
How do you get stuff off the internet? I mean, is there a way to these get some of it off once people put it on?
So, like social media sites, generally the social media like Facebook and Instagram, even there are some porn sites that watch and monitor what is being uploaded to their site, and they will take it down and notify us, or they have their ways of reporting to their cyber tips of pictures. Those are the very much LEO, to get rid of child porn, but there is the dark web where it's shared, unfortunately, and that's what we try to fight all the time. But social media sites are very cooperative with law enforcement, and they will take photos down, but generally, if they see a photo that is a child that is nude, they take it down before we even know about it, and then they notify us. But that's generally how that works. Does that answer your
Once
question?
it's out there though, there's really no way of getting it, because if they send it to multiple sites.
Yeah, once it's out there because, I mean, once it's shared, anybody can download that photo and save it. And then they can share it. And like I said, there's the dark web, there's other sites, and I don't want to freak everybody out, but there are places where people actually go to meet online to talk about and share and exchange and stuff like that. So once it's out there, it's always out there. It's just don't know who has it.
This is for you again. What is the responsibility of the individual if child porn is found? Like if they find it on the PC, phone, or tablet, and does privacy supersede danger?
Well, is this your question? Yeah. Okay. So he talked to me off the side of if he's going through computers, like fixing people's computers, and he finds images of children, there is no privacy. You see it, you say it, you report it. But then let us, or whatever, law enforcement or the county or whatever, let us do the investigation. We have our protocols that we need to follow in order to take these guys to court. But if you see something, say something, because of the experiences that I've had, with all my cases I had dealing with child pornography, unfortunately, there is always an action hands-on victim. So if you see something, say something. And report it, call law enforcement immediately, and let us take over it from there. We've had cases where people have came across a flash drive and called us, and we were able to prosecute, send people to prison for it.
So if a parent found on their own child received inappropriate photos, what should they do?
I suggest to definitely call law enforcement. There's many different reasons for this. If they see pictures of another kid sending pictures, there might be a reason behind it. We're not looking to get kids in trouble that are sharing pictures of themselves. We don't want to charge them. We don't want to send them through courts. But there may be a reason behind them doing it. They may be a victim themselves that is actually reaching out for help, and that's their way of doing it, is sending pictures. And I've had cases where they've done that. So I would contact law enforcement, let us look into see why this kiddo is doing it, and if they're sharing photos, we need to get this taken care of before it gets escalated.
So who do you call 911, or do you call a specific person in the police department?
Call whatever, like you guys would call your sheriff's office and contact the sheriff's office and say, hey, I found this picture on my kid's phone. It's another kid at the school. Have an officer come out, and then they can determine whether detectives need to take over the case and look at it, or kind of go from there.
Is there a way to put a timer on a tablet so that it will shut off after 20 minutes or a certain amount of time?
I know my daughter, I have a 4-year-old that's 14 in her mind, and her tablet, she gets so angry with me when I do it, but her tablet, yeah, I don't know, I only have her tablet, but I can go on there, it's the one you can order from Amazon, and you can go in there in the settings or whatever, you have to put in your code, your password, whatever, go into settings, and you can change it to, she can only have it up until 8 o'clock at night, and she can only be on it for an hour long, or Or you, like she had mentioned that you have to do chores on hers. I noticed, oh, you have to do your reading. I'm going to keep that in mind when you're able to read. She has to do some reading before she can play games, before she can watch movies. So I know her tablet, you can do it. I'm assuming it's the same for all tablets. No?
I don't think so. Our carrier has something that's similar, so I use Verizon. Verizon has that software available for families, but I'm more familiar with Apple products, and they, as far as I know, do not have something, that kind of a feature. You'd have to have something in addition to help you to do that.
Most likely you can look it up on Google and download an app.
Google it.
I believe this question was answered, but you might need to reiterate. What are the names of the apps that hide the other apps?
So I'm not sure because there's so many of them. Again, you can just do a Google search. But the main words you can search for is vault. Those will hold things or like lock or stuff like that. And sometimes an app will put another little icon on your messages or your photos if you want to have a password. So those will have like a little gray lock in the corner of your messages or your photos or whatever you're locking. That's a way to look. You can also just, if you pull down on your phone, if you just swipe your phone down and when you're on like the home page, you can just search vault or lock, and if you have that kind of app, it'll pop up.
Also, if you just go through apps, like if you just open some up, it'll be like, this is what it is. Or if you go to the App Store and search a name of an app that you don't know what it is, it'll come up with a description immediately.
Some of the apps too, actually the little icon on the phones are, they can select it. It could be a calculator, it could be a timer, it could be really anything, and it's always, there's always something new. We try to stay ahead of the game, but there's always something new every day. And some vaults actually have a hidden vault inside of it. So if they give you a password, they're like, oh yeah, my password is 1234, and you open it up and it's pictures of flowers and puppies and rainbows and unicorns. Okay, great. What's your other password? 5678. There's all your other pictures. So it's always something new. So like they've said and like I've said, click on every little app in there. And if there's a password that pops up, give me your password. If you don't want to give it to me, I keep your phone. You get a flip phone. Sorry. So.
This one wants more of an explanation of how to find out if their child has Finsta or Sinsta.
So I would say maybe look at their friends that they have on their app, because most likely they're following themselves to maybe look like they have more followers. Also, you could look at go to their friends list, and then maybe look at their best friend who would keep that secret, who they're following, and anything that they, Instagram name maybe that looks like something they like, or anything that sounds like a name they want to be called or whatever, something like that. That's how I would do it. There's no real way because you can make your username say anything. The way that I've seen is like if you have an Instagram account yourself, and then it'll suggest people in your area to be friends with. Like it suggests everyone from the school for me, and sometimes accounts will pop up that you don't recognize. Maybe you could look at that, but there's no way to tell really unless you just ask them. Otherwise, you could look at their profile and look at the icon in the top right corner and see if there's multiple pictures. If there is, that's multiple accounts.
One thing that I would believe is that people are going to make Instagram accounts with very similar usernames, so it's probably not going to vary much. So if you see multiple usernames that are practically identical or very close to being, that could be a sign.
I also don't want you guys to super scare your kids, because some people have made 5 different Instagram accounts and they're just the same Instagram account. They just change it for whatever reason, to change their username because they thought their old one was dumb. It may not be a bad Instagram account, it might just be a new one that they created for no reason at all, so be aware of that as well.
And then this is just a comment. They would like us to post or show the parental control comparison guide.
Yep.
Shelley will do that. We would, if there's any other questions, we'll take those now.
I don't think there was, and just raise your hand if